Hello, Jake Light here, gaming lawyer at your service. So to make this introduction short, so we can get to the gist of the video, I've been playing Elden Ring regularly since around May 2023. Though I'm not new to the Soulsborne genre, I've fallen in love with this game for its gameplay as well as its method of storytelling. It got me thinking for a serious amount of time though, on a very niche topic. Are there laws people have to follow in the lands between? What are actions considered legal or ethical in this world? I sadly couldn't find a concise video talking about it. So naturally, I decided to take up the challenge to gather and compile all the facts that can be backed up with some form of evidence supporting them. This may be a start of a small series depending on your interests. So if you'd like to see more, do consider telling me your thoughts down in the comments, as well as like and subscribe to the channel. Do be warned, what I'm about to share are potentially major spoilers for the game's various stories. Even though they might just be my educated guesses, a lot of them are inferred from information you can get from dialogues, item descriptions, and environmental clues in the game. As the title of this video says, we are going to list out what the typical residents under the Golden Order can and can't do under religious and philosophical beliefs. I won't get into explaining too much, but it is believed that the Order was founded by Goddess Marika through sheer force and ability to change the rules of life and death for the world. She was able to conquer the entire lands between and make her own societal system for those who live in it. I do want to point out that the Order I'm referring to is before the events of the game, where the shattering and assassination of Godwyn had not happened yet. So the Order was still stable and had functioning governmental authorities. According to the item description in Guilty Hood, which if a person is accused of lesser crimes, will have to wear this hood with collar of sharpened branches. It's related to the Golden Order for several reasons. It can be found in the capital city of Leyndell and can be purchased from a nomadic merchant in Mount Gelmir, which are places the Order had governance over. The hood itself seems to have a faded symbol around the chest area, and the closest symbol I could find to be similar is actually on another clothing. The Confessors. If you wear them both together, you can easily compare them. The Confessors are said to be the loyal servants of the Two Fingers that hunt down and quietly dispose of their enemies. Since the Two Fingers are part of the Order, as they are the vassals of the Greater Will, this could also support the notion that the Guilty Hoods were a punishment created by them. As to what sort of lesser crimes the Order would make the accused wear these painful-looking pieces of fashion, we have no idea. We can only say what it is not with other specified criminal offenses, which we will get into shortly, but it isn't much to begin with. To take into consideration that the hoods are worn when people are just accused of lesser crimes, there may be further punishments sentenced once they have been convicted. This is somewhat shown by the existence of people wearing said hoods were also found crucified in Limgrave, another region which the Order had control over. Though, on the contrary, it can be argued that these crucifixions were punishments enacted by Godric, a self-proclaimed lord of the region, as he was ousted from the Order long ago and may have no relation whatsoever. This forbidden act by the Golden Order is actually a bit tricky to figure out, but probably overlooked by many that aren't looking at every piece of lore the game offers, especially the descriptions for the starting classes. Via the descriptions of the Prophet class and their armor set, it is said that if a person prophesies misfortune, it can get a person persecuted and exiled from their home. This in itself may not indicate that the prophecies refer to the Golden Order and could just be a general superstition for those who live in the lands between or outside of it, but with the incantation that you can also get from the class, called Catch Flame, which the description says, the flame of ruin is anathema to the Erdtree, but prophets sometimes glimpse it within the faith all the same. Sadly, when this occurs, their sole reward is banishment. For those who don't know, the practice of fire incantations are highly frowned upon by the Order, as the flame of ruin referred here is a source of fire that comes from an outer god called the Fell God, and is one of the few things that can burn the Erdtree. And since the Erdtree is an important part of the Order, it is highly taboo to talk about the possibility of the Erdtree burning. Prophecies depicted in the form of paintings are also not allowed, as we can see it mentioned in this item called the Candle Tree Wooden Shield, thought to represent a surreptitious prophecy of cardinal sin. The lit candle tree design was forbidden. Persecuting these prophets as delusional, shackling them with cartwheels on their necks, and exile them from lands between will surely prevent this catastrophic event, right? Speaking of outer gods, the Order is also known to be strongly against any godly influence that is not done or accepted by Marika, and she will take all necessary measures to eradicate their worshippers. The Order has sentenced people suspected of heretical beliefs of outer gods to life imprisonment, which is what happened to the merchants of the Great Caravan, as they were accused of worshipping the frenzied flame and were buried alive deep underground. The connection to the Order is made when you find out where these merchants are trapped, and it's actually right beneath the capital city of the Order, Lindale, where the secret entrance to the prison is protected by a projection of Moog and a barrier made by Morgoth. They are the sons of the goddess Marika and the first Elden Lord, Godfrey. You also find the necessary items that support the above hypothesis, such as the Nomad Ashes, Nomadic Merchant Set, Frenzied Cookbook number 2, Inescapable Frenzy, Fingerprint Stone Shield, and a note, Mikala's Needle. I won't get into whether the accusations were true since that's not really relevant, but I'd like to add that the Order didn't really think through where to imprison these people, putting them literally above the sealed three fingers, a vessel for the frenzied flame, where their chants of despair probably were more effective in summoning the flame of frenzy and may have caused its influence to spread further in the lands between. Fun fact, slander, a type of defamation through verbal statements, can be a civil wrong and/or a criminal offense, and have existed as early as ancient Rome. Sadly, the only source about slander being a crime in the game is limited to one item called Shabriri's Woe, which says, "It is said that a man named Shabriri had his eyes gouged as a punishment for the crime of slander, and with time, the blight of the flame of frenzy came to dwell in the empty sockets." There have been some theories as to what kind of slander warrants the punishment of losing your eyes. The most famous one is that it was the very accusation made towards the merchants of the Great Caravan, since by having them buried alive furthers the madness that plagues the lands between. But such relation between Shabriri and the merchants were not explicitly stated. We don't know what Shabriri lied or was accused of lying about. The Golden Order would probably do something more severe than just gouging his eyes as punishment if they found out that they accidentally condemned an entire tribe of people who are just afflicted with madness. Another probable theory is that the slander is directed to the authorities of the Order. Could be statements about Marika, Godfrey, Radagon, the demigods or nobles, which the mentioned punishment would be more fitting. All the above theories are nice and all, but I have to be clear with y'all. We don't even know if the Golden Order is related at all. We are only assuming they are the people who punished Shabriri, since there are not many factions in this game with a mentioned justice system. It's even possible that Shabriri might have his eyes gouged by the higher-ups from Raya Lucaria Academy, since other than choosing that talisman as a keepsake when you create a character, we can also find it in a village that is located in the Liurnia region with maddened Raya Lucarian soldiers occupying it. Makes you think, huh? Even though a lot of violence and killing happens in the lands between, doesn't mean murdering is not a criminal offense. That said, the only known case of someone convicted of mass murder and desecration of corpses in this game is none other than the Dung Eater. Throughout his dialogues, as well as other characters like Blackguard Big Bogart describing him, he has allegedly killed hundreds of people and also defiled their corpses afterwards in order so that they are reborn as accursed beings called omens. He does seem to have traveled far and wide in lands between to commit his horrific murder rituals. We can find Sith-bad curses, which I guess you can say the fruits of his labor, all over the game, such as Lindale, Volcano Manor, and even at a Helix Tree, where not many were supposed to know where its location. We know he had been sentenced to death by hanging, as we see an illustration of the execution as he was being introduced in the opening cutscene of the game, although getting revived immediately because he obtained grace as a tarnished. Strictly speaking though, there's no definitive proof that it was the Golden Order that had him hanged, but his corporeal form can be found underneath the capital city, Lindale, in a sewer jail cell guarded by giant Miranda sprouts and finger creepers. Note that Dung Eater himself said that he was trapped in a room instead of imprisoned. You normally wouldn't say that if you were caught and arrested by Lindale authorities, and they definitely don't want to leave him alive if they were the ones who executed him. As to who might have done it, the only theory I have is that it's actually Dung Eater himself, at the very least the incorporeal or projected version of him, since we get the key for unlocking the cell from the man himself. But why though? Well, only one reason I can think of, which is just speculation, but he has very little control over his real body. When we do find him down in the sewers, not only does he not recognize the tarnished, but he's also speaking incoherently, only wanting to continue killing and defiling people, and maybe that's the only thing that he can do to motivate and direct his body to do what he wants. This is just a quick one, since this might not be considered a crime per se, but Marika did get punished for shattering the Elden Ring. We don't have to look far for the truth of the matter, as the two fingers in the round table hold said it themselves, albeit translated by the finger reader Enya. Now, I do have to apologize in advance, but I didn't think about recording dialogue, but I also don't want to start another playthrough just to listen to it again, so this is my rendition of what was said by Enya.
Queen Marika is the vessel of the Elden Ring, carrier of its vision, a god in truth. But after the Elden Ring's shattering, she was imprisoned in the Earth Tree, a green punishment for shattering the Order, despite her godhood. The fingers speak. Marika's trespass demanded a heavy sentence, but even in shackles, she remains a god and a vision's vessel.
Additionally, with all the planning done by Marika to make sure one of the Tarnished becomes Elden Lord, might suggest the goddess knew from the formation of the Golden Order that going against the greater will is forbidden, and the consequences of it is eternal imprisonment, whether in the form of destroying the Elden Ring or the Earth Tree. Alright, that's pretty much what are explicitly mentioned or implied by the Golden Order as to what acts are deemed as criminal offenses, and at least have accompanying punishments to go with them. I guess I haven't mentioned things like the wars against the giants or the Glowmite Queen, because they aren't under the rule of the Golden Order, just opposing factions at odds with each other's existence and beliefs. Obviously, I have also yet to talk about what the Order is totally chill with for the people in the lands between the two, and there's plenty of the good, the bad, and the absolutely disgusting things that are not illegal or at least not unethical in their world. But I will leave that for another time. For now, I'd like to know what you think. Are there more Golden Order forbidden acts that I didn't manage to talk about? What other factions laws do you want me to cover? Let me know down in the comments. And again, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more of what I make, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Until next time, stay hopeful, but be critical.